Okay, so I think we'll get started, and if anyone else joins, then that's okay. We'll just go over a little bit of this new platform that we're using. So thank you for joining us today for Understanding the Risks for a Person with Dementia Going Missing, which is the second webinar in our series, Staying Safe with Dementia in 2020, New Realities. So before we begin, I'll just go over a few guidelines for the presentation. So as you can see on the first slide, we're still using Zoom. And again, we do believe this technology helps us to connect with you securely. And we believe that privacy measures put in place by Zoom will protect your privacy. So we do urge you to take steps to protect your own privacy. So using a secure Wi-Fi connection, using only your first name, which I see you've done, which is wonderful. And the sign-in link that we do send out is specific to this webinar, so please do not share. And the presentation portion of this webinar is being recorded and will be archived for future viewing. So in Zoom's webinar platform, however, your cameras and microphones are not activated, so there's that additional measure of privacy. And if you can move to the next screen, Dina, next slide. Great. So during the presentation, if you do have any questions for the presenter, which is Dina, please type them in the Q&A box. So you should see the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen on the right. So this is a little bit different from the platform we used last week. So we will respond to questions at the end of the presentation. If you are having any technical difficulties or you can't hear the presenter or anything like that, please send me a message using the chat box. And you'll see that icon on the left. So we are not using the raise hand feature today. So once the presentation is complete, we will stop the recording and your questions will be answered. So we'll take them out of the Q&A box and we'll make sure that those are addressed. So please note that we will be providing general educational information and we are not offering specific advice for unique situations. So please direct these specific questions directly to your support worker. So please enjoy the presentation.
Hi everyone, thank you Susan. My name is Dina. I'm the Public Education Coordinator for the Alzheimer's Society in London and Middlesex. As Susan mentioned, today's presentation is Understanding the Risk of a Person with Dementia Going Missing. So some of the topics that we're going to cover today are the following. Why do we need to talk about the risks? Understanding the risk for someone going missing. Who is at risk? Why might someone with dementia go missing? And know the signs. So before we get started, I just have a little question for you that I'd like to do a little bit of a poll, just to get your thoughts and to see what everyone thinks about this question. So the question I have for you today is, did you find the present, oh, sorry, my bad. Sorry, my apologies. Wrong question, there we go. Do you think it is important to discuss the risk of a person with dementia if they are at the earlier stage of the disease? Take a couple of minutes to make your selection. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing and indulging me in the poll. So it looks as though everyone is in agreement that we should talk about this topic. Okay, so let's begin. So why do we need to talk about the risk? For a person with dementia, familiar surroundings may become strange and they may get disoriented and are unable to find their way home. 60% of people live with dementia going missing, often without warning. And half of those not found within 24 hours will be seriously injured or die. Nearly 75% of people in an urban area gone missing are found within 3.2 kilometers of their last location. So persons living with dementia, who is at risk? Anyone with a dementia diagnosis. People who live home alone. People who leave their home and go for walks alone. People who walk away from friends and family when they are out together. People who exercise when stressed. People who get overwhelmed or anxious frequently. And people who have gotten lost within the community. So now we're going to talk about some of the reasons why a person with dementia may go missing. The first topic is memory loss and confusion. A person may set out to run an errand and then forget where they were going and why. They may go out looking for someone such as a care partner. For example, they may go looking for them because they forgot where they went or when they'll be coming home. People with dementia may get confused about the time. For example, they may wake up during the evening, get dressed, and is ready to start their day. Relieving pain and discomfort. People often walk when they are in pain or uncomfortable, wanting to escape from it. And sometimes the pain is not obvious, like a toothache. When people are not feeling well or restless, they may feel the need to walk. People may also leave when their environment is uncomfortable. For example, if the environment is too hot or too cold, or perhaps too loud or too noisy. Boredom and lack of activity. A person with dementia may wonder if they feel bored. This may be due to the reasoning that they're not doing as much as they used to, as before, such as going out or visiting friends. Having things to do gives everyone a sense of purpose and self-worth. A person may have a lot of energy and they may feel the need to do more exercises. Some things to consider are chair exercises, walking up steps, doing some gardening or housework. And I also would like to take this opportunity to talk about our social recreation team and all the activities that they have created for people during this difficult time so that they can do activities virtually. Please check out our website. There are weekly activities posted and they're fantastic. Continuing a habit and staying independent. Sometimes people want to walk at times of the day when they used to be out and about. For example, if they used to go to work, walk the dog at a specific time, or pick up children from school. It's important to try and support the person as much as possible, even though the reasoning for wanting to go on the walk may be incorrect. It is very important to keep the person independent for as long as possible, even though there will always be a concern for risk. Even though there is always going to be a concern for risk, we can try to mitigate those risks by checking a person's environment. For example, do they live on a busy street? And the neighborhood? Do the neighbors know each other and familiar? Looking for someone. It can be if the person has been left on their own. Their care partner has run an errand and they may want to go look for them. Again, it might be helpful if you write your notes down, letting them know where you have gone and when you will be back. A person may want to try to walk and find someone or something from their past. For example, they may not remember that someone has moved or passed away. It's very important to talk with the person to find out who and why they are what they're looking for. Feeling lost. If a person is unfamiliar with their surroundings, they may want to walk because they feel lost. For example, they may have moved homes, or they've started a new day program, or are moved into a new care home. It may be helpful to show them some photographs, some familiar furniture or items that they have, as well as it may be helpful to set up their new environment similar to their old environment. As dementia progresses, the person may begin to feel lost in their own home. For example, they may forget where their bathroom is and start walking around trying to find it. Leaving the bathroom door open and the light on may be helpful. So now I'm going to talk about some of the warning signs to look out for of a person with dementia who may go missing. A person who returns from a walk or drive later than usual. Forgets directions to a familiar place, such as a grocery store, bank, or church. Talks about former obligations, such as work or taking the kids to an activity. Wants to go home, even though they are at home, and try to leave. The person is restless, paces, or makes repetitive movements. The person has trouble finding places in the home, as I mentioned earlier, the bathroom or the bedroom. Asks about past friends and family. The person acts busy, but nothing gets done. For example, they may appear to be doing the dishes, but none of the dishes are actually getting cleaned. A person acts nervous or anxious in a crowded area, such as a restaurant or a shopping mall. So the points that I just mentioned are all some common examples of why someone with dementia may go missing. However, I really would like to point out that these points are the common warnings, and each person has their own tell of their own signs. So what I mean by that is, for example, your mother or father or loved one may brush their hair every time they're just about getting ready to go out. So every person will have a unique tell that will be identifiable. So now I'm going to talk about some signs of someone who may be missing within our community and what we can do to be looking out for them. You may see the person is dressed inappropriately for the weather, standing still and looking around for a long period of time, looking confused or disoriented, repeating the same question or statement within a short period of time. So when I was doing this presentation, I came across this lovely poem, and I just thought it was worth sharing because it summed up the presentation and the points that I have just mentioned really, really nicely. So I'd like to just share it with you now. When I wander, don't tell me to come and sit down. Wander with me. It may be because I am hungry, thirsty, need the toilet, or maybe I just need to stretch my legs. When I call for my mother, even though I'm 90, don't tell me she has died. Reassure me, cuddle me, ask me about her. It may be that I am looking for the security that my mother once gave me. When I shout out, please don't ask me to be quiet or walk by me. I'm trying to tell you something, but have difficulty telling you what. Be patient. Try to find out. I may be in pain. When I become agitated or appear angry, please don't reach for the drugs first. I am trying to tell you something. It may be too hot, too bright, too noisy, or maybe it's because I'm missing my loved ones, try to find out why first. When I don't eat my dinner or drink my tea, it may be because I've forgotten how to. Show me what to do. Remind me. It may be that I just need to hold my knife and fork. I may know what to do then. When I push you away while you're trying to help me wash or get dressed, maybe it's because I have forgotten what you have said. Keep telling me what you are doing over and over and over. Maybe others will think you're the one that needs the help. With all my thoughts and maybes, perhaps it will be you who reaches my thoughts, understands my fears, and will make me feel safe. Maybe it will be you who I need to thank, if only I knew. So listed here are some of the resources and where I pulled a lot of the information for this presentation. Feel free to explore these websites further. There's lots and lots of other resources available that will be maybe helpful for you. So before we leave today, I have one more question for you and one more poll that I'd like to do, just to give me a sense of whether you thought this presentation was helpful. Here you go. Okay, thank you for taking part in that. And as Susan mentioned, we have weekly summit webinars that are happening, and our next webinar will be next Friday, May the 1st, Going Outside of the Home, COVID-19 Safety Considerations. Thank you for watching and joining us today. And what questions do you have for me? Feel free to ask them in the Q&A box, as Susan mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, or feel free to email at any time at dinaboone@alzheimerslondon.ca. Thank you. Also, if you have any specific questions related to your situation, please contact your support worker for further discussion. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.